Hi.
Greetings. In the Finished Mystery, page 68, we're still dealing with the phrase, "Behold, I stand at the door." And of course, the next two words are "and knock," but we haven't got to the "and knock" yet. Behold, I stand at the door. And what application are they making of that? Well, they're saying that happened in 1874. Here's how they put it in the very first sentence that we dealt with last time. Some of the scriptures which, when understood in their connections and significance, prove that the Lord's second advent occurred in the fall of 1874. And last time we listed all the chronological proofs they say proves it. The only one that's left standing is 1914, and even that has completely changed its significance since this book. It used to be the end of the Great Tribulation and the end of Armageddon, and now it's the beginning of the time of the end. Mm-hmm. Now they're dealing with other proofs. They say, besides the above scriptures, time proofs of the Lord's return are the fulfillments of the promised signs. So what are the signs that are visible since 1874? We'll list them, and some of them are going to be very mystifying to most of us because we don't know what it's talking about here. But they give the references so you can look them all up. So check out page 69, the bottom, and 70, the top, to find out where you can find out the information as to what all these things mean. I'll try to explain a few of them as we go through. The gospel has been preached in all the world for a witness. And they reference Matthew 24:14. Well, we have dealt with that, and we'll put that in as a link at the end. They thought that Christendom, specifically the Bible societies of Christendom, had already fulfilled this before the turn of the 20th century. The abomination has been seen in the holy place. Well, today you link that one to the League of Nations and the United Nations, but those hadn't shown up yet. So what did they link it to in those days? The flight of the saints from the antitypical Judea has occurred. Notice it's antitypical Judea. It's not literal here. The Great Tribulation has commenced. There's a surprise. Has commenced. Yeah, it was to end in 1914. The false Christs are with us. The eagles have gathered to the carcasses. The sun and moon have been darkened. The man of sin has been revealed. The Elias, that's the Elijah class as they now call it, the Elias has come. The regathering of the Jews has begun. Now that one we can actually agree with. The only problem is, of course, they've dumped that teaching.
That's the one they dumped, the one they got right.
But they had observed with their eyes, not their eyes of understanding, that the Jews were being regathered and things were stirring in the Middle East. Then they say the refining of the sons of Levi progresses, and of course that's them. The true faith was nearly extinct in the earth. Now you wonder, how could they have that thought in mind at the same time they're thinking that the Bible societies have fulfilled Matthew 24:14. The century of the greatest evangelism since the first century was the 19th century. And Russell are latecomers to that.
Yeah, and a great riches of material, too.
Yeah.
Prominent in that period.
That's right. I've said in a previous video that for me, looking back 140 or so years, that's the greatest generation of all for Bible commentaries and theologians. The doctrines of devils are rampant. The perilous times and all associated evils are here. The Lord God has given the sinners water and gall to drink. The mighty angel has roared, "Come out of her." And of course, in those days, Babylon was not the world empire, false religion. It was Christendom. The running to and fro is in evidence. Well, that's the reference to Daniel 12:4, the increase of knowledge in the last days. And of course, they're applying that to themselves. The antitypical Josiah has kept the great Passover. And these are all references to watchtowers of that generation. The land shadowed with wings has played its part. That's a reference to Isaiah 18 and some mystical interpretation of the prophecies about Ethiopia and Egypt.
So I'll take it from here. The watchman has stood upon his tower. The wheels within wheels are made clear. The prophet has come to the rebellious house. He has eaten the book of her fate. The 7 years of astonishment are finished. The sieges of 390 years and 40 years are at an end. The image of jealousy has been disclosed. The man with the writer's inkhorn has performed his task. The removing is at an end. The sword has been doubled the third time. The point of the sword has been made bright. Ecclesiasticism has been delivered unto brutish persons. The desire of the faithful servant's eyes has failed. The stilled voice is speaking again. All of those were references to Ezekiel.
Yeah, and interesting, there's no references here to explanations in the Watchtowerr.
Mm-hmm.
And all the part you just read, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except one, I think, if my eyes serve
Yeah,
me.
right at the beginning, I think.
So what is all this? Except it's going to be explained in this book. There's 200 pages about Ezekiel in this book, which is mostly on the book of Revelation. But what is the application? You can guess at it because they reference the prophet, and the capital P prophet has been heard. The watchman has stood upon his tower.
Yeah,
what
who
is
did
all
they think
this?
that was? Russell.
So everything here later in the book is applied to C.T. Russell's personal ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So then you realize this book and all of the associates of J.F. Rutherford at this particular time in history, 1617, after Russell's dead, all of them are absolutely loyal to Russell's teachings for a few years.
Called him the faithful and discreet slave.
And you know how quickly that changes. But Rutherford kept up teaching what is in this paragraph before, namely that Christendom has fulfilled Matthew 24. It's not us that are doing that. It's already happened. So the time is at hand. Of course, they have to believe that because they believe Armageddon is upon us in the 1918 period. And they say it's all going to happen between 18 and 20 in here. So this book becomes a hymn, really, a hymn to Charles Taze Russell. And it's therefore no surprise that it's not being reprinted or even encouraged to be held in Kingdom Hall libraries anymore. What are our links?
We are linking to Have JWs Ever Been God's Organization? Russell on Matthew 24:14, and the playlist it comes from.
Yeah, it's part of a playlist which is now, I think, run over 100 videos. Have Jehovah's Witnesses ever been God's organization? See you next time.
Okay.